Going down, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome to the channel. I'm Genaro. That's Duran.
How's it going?
All right, all right. So this is episode 1.5. Over today, we'll be talking about the AFC North and or AFC South, I should say. AFC South are the Houston Texans. You got the Indianapolis Colts, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Tennessee Titans. And again, we're to go over what we're talking about is we're going over the best additions, their biggest losses, and our favorite draft picks. And to kick it off, we got Duran here, and he's going to go ahead and go over the Houston Texans best addition. Go ahead.
The best addition I went with was Brandon Cooks, the wide receiver for the Rams. It would have been David Johnson because I think he's a great player, but with a disappointing last season, being outshined by Kenyon Drake, and now the Texans are stuck with his contract, I went with Brandon Cooks. He has a big opportunity there. With Hopkins gone, over 150 targets and 1,200 yards are missing from their offense. Will Fuller, their deep down the field threat, is constantly missing from the lineup. We know that Brandon Cooks can step in and take over that job. And he should mesh well with Kenny Stills and Cobb working in the slot, doing those intermediate routes. This is Cook's fourth team, and he's only 26 years old. So I'm a Deshaun Watson fan, so I'm hoping for the best here, but Brandon Cooks is the best addition for me.
Yeah, same here. It was kind of hard for me to choose between either him or Randall Cobb. But yeah, I essentially went with Brandon Cooks as well. I hope he meshes well with Watson, because Watson has been my fantasy quarterback for a little while now. So we'll see how he does without Nuke this year. But I'm hoping that Brandon Cooks, makes that spark, and hopefully he finds a home where he can stay for a little bit longer. Because man, this guy. Since he came in the league, he's been shopped around, from the Saints to the Rams to everywhere.
Patriots.
So. Oh yeah, the Patriots too. Patriots.
Yep, made a short stop there.
He was my favorite addition as well. It was kind of hard between me and Randall Cobb, and when I looked at it, compared the two,
I didn't go with Cobb because he's a little bit older. I mean,
yeah.
I got high hopes for David Johnson on this one. I think he could restart his career. I know he's a hard worker and just the right kind of guy to go in there and do it. So I hope it's David Johnson, but Brandon Cooks, I think the opportunity is just greater there for him.
So to rank that their free agent additions, or that this is actually a trade. So it would go Brandon Cooks for you, David Johnson, then Cobb?
Yep.
Yeah. For me, it was Cooks, Cobb, then David Johnson. Okay. Only because David Johnson's been in and out of the lineup, and he's let me down fantasy-wise.
Yeah, I feel you.
All right. I'm pretty sure I kind of know your answer here. I'll be surprised if it's not the same as mine. But their biggest losses, who do you got?
Of course, Nuke, DeAndre Hopkins taken off to the Cardinals. I mean, with just how much he's done for this team, I don't know why they traded him away, especially for less than a first-round pick. He had great chemistry with Deshaun Watson. It seemed like they were just getting started. But since Watson joined the team, he's averaged 105 catches, 1,371 yards, and 10 touchdowns a year. On top of that, he's just arguably one of the best wide receivers in the game. 3-time All-Pro, not a diva. Shows up, puts in work. I think he'll be impossible to replace, man.
Yeah. Nuke Hopkins is definitely one of my favorite receivers in the NFL today. That was just a big blow. You can hear the rumors about him and, O'Brien in the locker room. I'm not 100% sure what that was all about. But, I mean, honestly, if you have a talent like that at the receiver position, I don't know why you wouldn't want to nip that in the bud, continue to win and help your young quarterback grow. But yeah, that's definitely a gut punch right there, losing Nuke like that. I don't think they have anybody on the team that can get 50-50 balls. I mean, I don't think Fuller can do that.
Nope.
You got Cobb and, Cooks being kind of smaller guys. But, we'll see.
Yeah, I feel I'm arguing with Bill O'Brien, too. I would if he gave me all those shitty quarterbacks at the beginning of my career.
Exactly. And when you find a good one and you get that chemistry going, and all of a sudden you axe that, now he's out. That was the biggest surprise, and it sucks being that he's in my conference in the NFC West now.
Yep.
But, he pretty much just gifted Kyler Murray.
Exactly. Teaming up with another great young quarterback.
Yeah, Jesus. All right, so the Houston Texans, let's go ahead and go over who you think their best draft pick.
My favorite draft pick was Ross Blacklock, defensive tackle from TCU. I mean, the Texans didn't have a first-round pick, and they picked up Blacklock in the second round. He's a solid D lineman, able to line up all over the interior of their 3-4 defense. He fills a need after they lost DJ Reader in free agency. He's a great run defender. Mm-hmm. He has the strength to stack and shed blockers on one-on-one. This should help the Texans, who ranked number 26 in rushing yards per attempt last year. I don't know if he'll bring much as a pass rusher. He only totaled 5.5 sacks in his career, but that's counting 2018 when he missed an entire season with a torn Achilles too. So he might have stepped up a little bit there, but it's hard to continue to build this defensive line when you lose Jadeveon Clowney and J.J. Watt's just been injury riddled, and he's now over 31 years old. So next year it'll be even tougher. They don't have a first or a second round pick. So this is going to be their core team for the next 2 years.
Yeah. Go early in the draft. I've been seeing a lot of the mocks actually saying the Niners we're gonna pick Blacklock, so I wanted to look more in depth into him, and I can see him playing maybe 3 tech for them, possibly trying to replace DJ Reader. But the early comparisons that were from was actually Gerald McCoy, which is surprising. Yeah, this kid's got some juice to him. This kid got some power, but I mean, I just think that it was a little bit hard for him to kind of process everything. I know that kind of hurt him earlier with his, with the Achilles tear and whatnot. He does have good lateral quickness. He needs to learn how to keep his pad level low. He tends to get a little bit too high at certain times, but I think with that, he definitely will learn. But he's also my favorite draft pick there as well.
Nice.
And I'm hoping that shores up that front seven, because I think they have a talented, defensive backfield. You got, Reed back there. Hopefully Lonnie Johnson plays like a top 50 player. So I'm hoping that backfield plays a little bit better with a better, front seven in front of them.
Yep. So my best addition for the Indianapolis Colts was DeForest Buckner from the 49ers. I considered Phillip Rivers here, but I think he's more of a temporary bridge quarterback. The Colts have had money to spend the last few years, and they finally unloaded it on DeForest Buckner, $84 million total with $56 guaranteed. They did give up a first-round pick to the Niners to secure Buckner, but the Colts have been pretty good against the run, only giving up 8 touchdowns last year, and Buckner will just reinforce that. He'll bring some much-needed help as a pass rusher from the inside. He ranked 8th PFF's pass rush grade and 9th in win rate. So at only 26 years old, Buckner should be able to land another big contract in 2025. So I think that was a good move and their best addition.
All right. Yeah, DeForest Buckner, he was actually my favorite addition of theirs. It was a gut punch for me personally, because he was actually my favorite 49er. And obviously 49ers are my team. He was a captain of that defensive line. He was actually a captain of the whole team. He was out there for the coin tosses and everything. And listening to the interviews with the 49ers now and everybody on that defensive line, they're saying that this guy was the one that called all the alignments and called out everything on third downs. So that's a big loss for the 49ers, but that's a huge gain for the Indianapolis Colts. One thing I would like to see is that practice of him going against Quentin Nelson. That's gotta be something amazing right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm super happy for him though. He got himself a payday, something that the 49ers couldn't really afford at the time, and he was super understanding with it, and I'm just glad that the 49ers took care of him before he left by getting him that big contract. All right. Their biggest loss for the Indianapolis Colts, who you got?
Their biggest loss, I went with Adam Vinatieri, the kicker. He is now a free agent considering retirement. Yes. I know he didn't have a good year in 2019, but the Colts didn't lose many players this offseason. I considered Ebron, Pierre Desir, but they couldn't live up to Adam Vinatieri. He's currently 47 years old, which is impressive on its own, and he's coming off of a knee surgery. So I honestly don't think he'll be back. Even in the middle of last year, he considered retiring. But he's played in 5 Super Bowls. He holds the record for most Super Bowl wins by a kicker. He has the most points scored ever, most field goals ever, and the only player to score 1,000 points with 2 different teams. He's the oldest player in the league if he comes back. 3-time All-Pro, future Hall of Famer. He started his career in 1996, and I don't really know football without Adam Vinatieri.
Yeah, that was actually – I did not know who to choose from. I mean, I could have chose Ebron as well or Desir. And Vinatieri, that was actually one that I saw, and I kind of waved off because he was a kicker, but then you have to go back and look at all the stats and everything that he has put up in his history. And, yeah, I totally agree with you with Vinatieri being the biggest loss. But if you want to touch on Pierre Desir, you can. He did have an off year, and I feel like they replaced him right away by adding Xavier Rhodes. Mm-hmm. So that loss of Desir wasn't really harmful.
Yeah, I probably would have went with Ebron if I didn't go with Vinatieri here. I mean, Ebron, he started splitting time last year, but the year before that, he led all tight ends with touchdowns. And he was a big red zone target there. He's moved on to Pittsburgh. So I probably would have went with Ebron just off of pure production.
Yep, that's for sure. All right. So who do you got for you? Who are your favorite draft choices of them?
My favorite draft pick was Michael Pittman, wide receiver from UFC. This was another team that didn't have a first-round pick. They finally get a big-body receiver to mesh with T.Y. Hilton and Paris Campbell. We know Phillip Rivers has a history of big wide receivers like Vincent Jackson, Keenan Allen, Malcolm Floyd, Mike Williams, even Antonio Gates at tight end. And the Colts wide receivers ranked 28th in receptions last year, 30th in yards. So they needed help at the wide receiver position. Zach Pascal actually led their team with only 607 yards. So that's not going to cut it either. T.Y. Hilton's turning 31 this season, which makes me feel old. And Pittman will be able to get in some valuable snaps. He'll probably get some red zone looks with Ebron leaving and giving up all those red zone targets. So I expect him to be a day one starter.
My favorite draft choice was actually Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor, he's, one of the toughest dudes I thought in the draft, especially following up the draft choice after taking Pittman, taking a guy like Jonathan Taylor. I think that's something that I wasn't really expecting with the Colts, only because they already do have a solid running back there. But touching a little bit more on Jonathan Taylor, his best vision that he does have is best trait that he does have is actually his vision. His lateral quickness could use a little bit more work, but this kid's definitely a rare breed. He does have a lot of, miles on him. See if you've seen everything that he does have. I mean, this kid has multiple seasons of running over 2,000 yards. But he does. Let's see here. Hang on.
Did you say 2,000 yards or 1,000 yards?
Yeah. said 1,000 yards.
Okay.
Mine said 2,000 yards.
There we go. Yeah, I know that they did have Marlon Mack there, but he's in a contract year this year. So he did top 1,000 yards behind Quentin Nelson in that line, but Jonathan Taylor should be able to be more of a long-term player there.
Yeah, with this guy is I mean he has a bunch of accolades that you want from your running back, especially he's number 6 all-time rusher in NCAA, and he's the first player to rush for more than 6,000 yards in a 3-year span.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so this guy has a bunch of miles, on him, but hopefully he can split up a little bit with the Marlon Mack and, the running backs that they do have back there. But, yeah, as far as my favorite draft pick of theirs, I'd have to go Jonathan Taylor.
Oh.
All right.
It's a good one.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are up next, and if you want to go ahead and go over who you think that their best addition was.
For the best addition, I went with Joe Schobert, linebacker from the Browns. I picked Schobert because they needed help with the loss of Telvin Smith. He'll slide right into their middle linebacker spot and get to team up with Miles Jack. Both of those guys are 3-down linebackers. He has had over 100 combined tackles the last 3 years, including a league-high 144 in 2017. The Jaguars gave up the 5th most rushing yards and 2nd most rushing touchdowns last year, so Schobert will be able to fill a valuable spot in their defense.
So Schobert is, my choice as well. From what he brings, for all his accolades that were listed when we went over the Browns and how they lost him, to him replacing, giving Miles Jack a running mate will definitely help out that middle of that defense for sure, to shore it up a little bit more. So if you want to go over the Jacksonville Jaguars' biggest loss.
Their biggest loss, I went with A.J. Bouye. He's been a staple in that Jaguars secondary for, I think, 4 years now. He once teamed up with Jalen Ramsey to be one of the best duos in the league. PFF ranked him top 3 coverage cornerback from 2016 to 2018. The worst part is they only got a 4th-round pick for him. So I know they wanted to dump his contract, so they probably felt it was worth it. So now C.J. Henderson will take over as their number 1 cornerback, but I don't know who's going to be on the other side. With DJ Hayden playing in the slot, Rashawn Melvin and Trey Herndon will be next in line. Both of those guys ranked outside of PFF's top 90 at the position. So that in 2 years, not even, in a year and a half, they lost A.J. Bouye and Jalen Ramsey. And that was a spot in their team that was so solid for the last couple of years.
Yeah, it was definitely hard for me to choose between him and Calais Campbell. I ultimately went with Calais Campbell on the biggest loss. Since arriving on the team in 2017, 2019, he made the Pro Bowl all 3 years. Even 2017, he was actually first team All-Pro.
Mm-hmm.
He won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award last year.
Wow.
5-time Pro Bowler. And actually after looking it up, the only time was actually 2017 with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But yeah, I could agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more on everything that you touched with about A.J. Bouye. It was huge losing both those cornerbacks, but hopefully the young kid and C.J. Anderson steps up. But ultimately, in my opinion, I thought it was Calais Campbell with their biggest loss.
There you go.
All right, their best draft pick. Who do you got?
I went with Kayvon Chason, the edge from LSU. I like C.J. Henderson, but Chason's draft value was great. They had 2 first-round picks, and he fell to the number 20 spot. They lost Calais Campbell in free agency, and with Ngakoue drama, he might have a starting position right away at the right defensive end position. He gets to team up with the other first-round pick, Josh Allen, as a pass rusher. Josh Allen led all rookies with 10.5 sacks. So we'll see if they could replicate it again next year.
Yeah, it was definitely hard for me to choose between Chason and C.J. Henderson. I ultimately went with C.J. Henderson. C.J. Henderson, coming out of Florida, it helps him being, kind of close to home. And with him, I think that he was the best man corner that I've seen play. There was a bunch of talk between him and Okuda, who's the number one quarterback in that draft class. But ultimately, it was Jeff Okuda. But some can argue that it was C.J. Henderson. C.J. Henderson plays the ball really well. People want to go ahead and knack on his tackling skills, but I mean, if Dion can make a whole career without tackling and whatnot, I'm pretty sure this kid's going to be solid, especially him having to step up and having a lot on his plate without A.J. Bouye there, as well as Jalen Johnson. I feel like this kid's ready for the task, so I think C.J. Henderson was actually a good pick for him.
Nice.
All right, that moves us down. To the Tennessee Titans.
Titans. I think their best addition was Isaiah Wilson, the offensive tackle from Georgia. He's a solid offensive tackle for the 29th pick overall. He'll be their immediate starter, filling in for Jack Conklin, who led the team in snaps last year. The Titans also led the league or actually number 3 in the league in rushing yards, and had the league's leading rusher with Derrick Henry. So the Titans are going to try to continue with that success this year, and Isaiah Wilson will be able to help them do it.
Yeah, did you see that video of him getting drafted in the first round? How his girlfriend was on top of him, sitting on his lap, and his mom. His mom
didn't like that.
But yeah, mom wanted this kid to get some shine. Oh, yeah, but he was actually my favorite draft choice as well after losing Jack Conklin, kind of shoring up that line a little bit more. Let's see here. It's a little bit hard for me because their additions, if you look at the Tennessee Titans, like everything that they'd lose, they went ahead and filled it in with draft choices. So it's pretty much like they got the same position fill, but they're going in with the same strategies last year, which, I like. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So
yep.
Let's go ahead and who do you have for their biggest loss?
Their biggest loss, it kind of combines with the Isaiah Wilson draft pick, was the loss of Jack Conklin to the Browns. He was the former number 8 overall pick, and he led the way for Derrick Henry to the league's leading rusher. The biggest addition and biggest loss kind of go hand in hand. Isaiah Wilson's going to be replacing Jack Conklin here. PFF ranked him as the number 10 tackle in the league, and I went with him because, he helped get the team to number 3 in rushing yards overall, and he led the team in snaps. He's going to be hard to replace with a rookie. And I don't know if they got someone with his skill that's going to be able to come in and play 99% of the snaps. So good luck replacing Jack Conklin.
Yeah, that's definitely a tough one to fill. I went ahead and went with I was actually thinking about going with Jack Conklin, but I kind of had a feeling that you were going with it too, so I wanted to change it up a little bit. So I went with Logan Ryan. Logan Ryan mainly played the slot. Let's see, he had 83 tackles, he had 4 interceptions, and 114 targets, and he only allowed 80 receptions. See, his solo tackles, he had 83 and 24 assisted, and one thing that I liked that he also had too was 5 sacks, and he also had 3 forced fumbles.
I didn't know he had that many sacks.
Yeah, definitely after looking up on PFF, I saw that he had 5 sacks. That actually surprised me, showing that he isn't scared of blitz. They put him in there right away, and he's definitely one of the top. Pretty sure he's still a free agent out there too.
Yeah, he is.
That's actually kind of surprising.
Yeah, so
that's surprising for me.
Yeah, with the loss of Logan Ryan, that kind of leads me into my favorite draft pick, which was Christian Fulton, the cornerback from LSU.
Yeah.
I like Fulton as a second-round cornerback in this year's draft. He has average size but plus speed. He knows how to get his hands on the ball. He deflected 25 passes in 2 seasons. Not that many interceptions with only 2, but Tennessee ranked number 24 in defense last year and needed help at the cornerback position. Like we said, Logan Ryan, their leading cornerback in snaps last year, is still a free agent, so they have a chance to bring him back, but we'll see. Fulton will need to beat out Malcolm Butler and Adoree Jackson for a starting position, but I think ultimately he's going to provide good depth. And, Malcolm Butler, he's going to be a favorite because they brought him over for the Patriots to team up with his former coach. So Adoree Jackson's been solid. I see him just providing a good depth piece.
Yeah. Going back and looking at my notes as far as my favorite additions, I can see that I'm a sucker for running backs, and that's what I chose here. My favorite draft choice of theirs is actually Darrynton Evans.
Okay.
They lost Dion Lewis, and I think they found Derrick Henry's new running mate. So you got Derrick Henry kind of, lulling him to sleep a little bit, and then you just got this home run hitter in Darrynton Evans. If you watch him play, this guy is fast. And they say that one of his kind of workout buddies in offseason was actually Raheem Mostert. So I'm thinking maybe, Raheem Mostert kind of whispers in the ear, and I listened to a couple of interviews with Darrynton Evans saying that he was talking to Raheem Mostert. He actually said that he wanted to play for the 49ers. He wouldn't mind playing in that offense. I mean, who wouldn't if you're running back in that zone scheme? So he's actually my favorite draft choice for the Tennessee Titans. If you're looking back at it, one of the films that I watched that I thought was the best was actually, I think, pretty sure it was against, I understand it was a small school, but it was, I think it was Charlotte. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he went and played against Charlotte. It was actually the best one. He's just running all over the field. He could benefit from a lot of, massive holes that are, running behind Teron or Luan and whatnot. His best trait is actually his elusiveness. His worst trait is actually, gaining those short yards for him. But you don't really need him to get short yardage if you have a monster like Derrick Henry back there. So kind of reviewing over the Tennessee Titans, like I was saying, everything that they lost, they addressed in the draft. So they lose Conklin, they get Wilson. They lose Lewis, they get Evans. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that pick makes sense because Derrick Henry only had 18 catches last year. And I think this Evans guy will be able to come in and help in that area for sure. And I could see on here he provides some kick return capabilities as well. So good little duo right there.
Yeah, I think that he'll definitely he'll step on the field a lot for special teams as well.
Perfect. Well, I think that does it for episode 1.5. Stay tuned for episode 1.6 where we tackle the NFC East. You could also check out our other videos where we cover your favorite team and players. Till next time.
Later.